and gentlemen, did you know the cells in your body react to everything your brain tells you? Hi, I'm Trish Gleason. Today we have with us Dr. Tom Lankering from Aspen, Colorado. How are you today, Dr. Lankering?
I'm doing great, Trish. Great to be here. Thank you.
Oh, great. Well, we're happy to hear the news that you're going to provide to us today, and you're going to talk to us about 3 ways to boost our immune system. Correct?
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So we'll get busy with that in just a minute. I wanted to go ahead and let them know just a little bit about your history because you have such a vast history. Dr. Lankering is a bioenergetic doctor focusing on brain-based chiropractic wellness. He's has a practice in Aspen, Colorado. He was a TV show host for 25 years there in Aspen. He has authored a book called Wake Up the Happy Brain. And we are so excited to have him here today. So let's get going. Doctor, I'll turn it over to you.
Sounds good. So you mentioned that there are 3 things that we can do as far as strengthening our immune system. Number 1 is mindset. Number 2 is mindset. Number 3 is mindset.
Okay.
I say, right, but starting
it's just
off,
what I said. The cells in your body react to everything your mind tells you. So tell us what to do.
Yeah. And so I'll tell a couple other things here. But there's a question that in this challenge of what's going on, we have to guard our minds. And the thing is that, our brains have developed, have evolved on a basis of fear to help us to survive. The brain is not there to help us thrive. It's there to help us survive. And so when different situations happen, going to a fear basis or a fear state is kind of a default for our brain to go to. So it's up to us in this situation to look at what we can do as far as focusing our brain on the right situation. Dr. Bruce Lipton, and actually if you go to the CDC, Center for Disease Control, the National Institute of Health, and you can Google cause of disease. And on both of those major websites, it'll show that 90% of all illnesses are caused by stress. And in this thought, and Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about epigenetics, where it's our environment and our thoughts that really direct the expression of the cells. So we have a lot of control over looking at what's going on. I mean, it's an easy trap to get into if you're watching the news or the media or some of your friends are talking. A few weeks ago, a lot of people I know were experts in constitutional law. Now they're experts in immunology and epidemiology.
Right.
It's amazing how they become, the expert and be able to. So you got to be careful. And I think everybody's dealing with their stress and their situations. So my recommendation would be kind to everybody, because we're all fighting a battle inside of us or a battle around us right now. So we want to try to work to pull us together. And so, having questions, sometimes just agreeing, we don't have to be right. We can be friends, we can be okay. And you take what someone says to you and say, okay, that's Joe and that's Mary and that's how they think and that's their thought, and I think sometimes with situations, if people ask you what you think, you can say, well, this is my opinion, but there's so much misinformation out there and it's so easy to get confused and it's so easy to go down a rabbit hole one way that we really have to guard our mind. And I think that that's the biggest thing. So there are a few things to work with. No, one is just our physiology. And if we're humped over and slumped over, or if we're all up and excited. So be aware of the posture and the position that you're standing in or sitting in or whatever you're working with. And again, no events have meanings until we give them meanings. So for example, with this Corona situation that's happening, or we'll call it a Budweiser situation right now for the sake of this conversation.
We love Budweiser though.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, just something different. Right?
Yeah.
So
keep us not depressed, trying to not depress us, right? Yeah.
Exactly, right? So, but we could say, what's good about this, and people get, what do you mean what's good? Well, it doesn't take much effort to find something good. You know, if we're quarantined in our homes, maybe we get to take care of ourselves. Maybe we get to spend time with our family or friends. Maybe we get to do things, you know, we hadn't done or had, you know, maybe it's a time for us to just reset the circuits here and go down. What isn't perfect about this? Well, we can come up with some things about this, you know, and the other situation is, what can I control and what can I not control? And the biggest thing we control is our mind. And so that's what we're looking at here and go, okay, and with that are the thoughts that we use. You know, we can say, well, this situation is killing me. And it probably isn't killing them, or else they wouldn't be watching this.
Right.
Right? Or you could say this is stressful, or you could say this is challenging. Well, even just if we say this is stressful versus this is challenging, well, if you say this is stressful, guess what? It's going to be stressful. If you say this is challenging, suddenly it's not stressful, it's challenging. And that changes the way our brain functions and no longer puts us in this stress survival mode. But the words we use, gratefulness, thankfulness, healing, vibrant health, changes our energy frequency and brings us up. So I think that that's really one of the major things that is probably the most critical, because mindset, with the proper mindset, we can come out of this situation better than before. It might sound some people listening, but I think that that's the truth. No matter what challenge happens, we can learn, we can grow, we can get better, and we can actually use this if we choose to. And it's a tool that we can work with. So that's my first thought.
Let me see if I've got the take right here. Our mind, our brain is really to defend us.
Yes.
It's in defense mode always, right?
Survivor. Yes. Yes.
Survivor. And in order to make it work better, right, to help defend us, we need to think more positively and proactively rather than try to be doldrum. Otherwise, 90% of the sickness comes from people that are not thinking good thoughts and are negative, right?
Right. Yep. So, and I think that one of the other powerful tools to use is that, you know, if we go into fear, that's that stress, survival, fight or flight mode. You know, another F word that can change our life is faith. You know, and it's our faith that we have that we're going to get through this, you know, that mankind will survive, that we'll find a way for solution. So when you find yourself going into fear, find out your faith and find out what you have faith in and build on that. And so that's one of the easiest and powerful ways to make that transition. Yeah.
Since our last meeting or interview, I've been trying to be much more positive. In fact, I was watching a movie the other night with my daughter and her fiance, and it was kind of dramatic. You know, it was funny, but it was a crime scenes and stuff, and it kind of stressed me out a little bit. So like a day ago, I said, I'm not watching it anymore because I felt like it was giving me tension that we need to watch. If we're going to watch TV, because that's a lot of what is to do right now, then we need to watch more positive, uplifting to make us positive
comedy
and happy.
shows. Look for comedy stuff, right? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Somewhere on the internet, I read that every single day every person comes across a billion germs, and some germs are good.
Right.
So what I know you're giving us 3 ways to build our immune system, but we need to get rid of the bad germs. So,
well, I think that what happens, and I think that you're absolutely right, is that in our bodies we probably have that Budweiser virus, we have that Cabernet virus, we have all these viruses, we have all different bacteria. You know, I mean, I've heard 50% of our body weight is bacteria. And we have viruses, we have parasites, we have all these different things. And you know what's interesting is it's trillions of cells and they're all getting along. It's like, well, why can't people on the planet all get along if all the cells in our body can get along? But you're absolutely right. And so when our body is in balance, when our brain is in balance, then our body is in balance. And so when the different stressors, that stress and survival mode versus the healing mode. So we have our what's called technically sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, but basically it's our survival and our healing, rest, digest, and recuperate. And and when those are in balance, the gut is in balance, the brain is in balance, the immune system is in balance. You mentioned it at the beginning of the show, psychoneuroimmunology. So psycho is psyche, which is the mind we were just talking about. The nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord and so forth, is the other part. When that is functioning properly, then the nervous system is strong, because the third part is immunology and the immune system. So even though some people are saying, well, this is a new virus and so forth, and the body doesn't have it, I disagree there, because the body's immune system, or psychoneuroimmunological system, is to take foreign invaders and handle it and process it and deal with it. The digestive system works with that, the mucous membranes, our skin. All of these are barriers as part of the immune system. So the immune system is designed to say, hey, you don't belong here. Send the big guys in and take care of these. So they got the white blood cells, all the different types of cells in the immune system are designed to go and attack and get rid of these foreign invaders. And so when, like, for example, if you use antibiotics wipes out the good and the bad. And that's a big part of the immune system. So that gets into saying we've got to build up our gut, because that is a significant factor in our immune system as we go along. But I think you're absolutely right that, we have all these bad things, right? So we say bad, but then it gets saying, well, people are sick. Well, and it's what's kind of the question is, well, what's the definition of sick? And some people say, well, they have a runny nose, or they have a fever, or they might be vomiting, or other things, sweating. And so, well, those are all processes that the body goes through as the immune system to kill and get rid of these bad guys who come into our bodies. And looking at the body differently, instead of, because with natural healthcare, we call it expressive healthcare, whereas the allopathic or medical model is suppressive. If you have a fever, they want to suppress the fever. If you have a cough, they want to suppress the cough. If you have a runny nose, they want to suppress. Whereas with chiropractic and other natural things, we want to express and allow the body to fight things off, to cleanse the body, because a lot of these healing situations are actually a cleansing crisis that the body's going through and cleansing and purifying, purging, and so forth. So, yeah, we have all these things. And when the stress, going back to the words that we think, fear and worry weaken our immune system. And so that's a huge part of it. Yeah.
Maybe that's why, and we're not giving medical advice today, we're just talking, but maybe that's why some people on television, you always hear, oh, they're a carrier, but no symptoms. They may just have a good immune system for that virus or for that germ.
Right. I agree with you. Yeah, we're carrying all that stuff, and does it mean, so if we don't express symptoms, well, that tells them we have a healthy body. They want to say, oh, there's something wrong with that person because they have it in there.
Right.
I mean, and the other thing is they really haven't isolated this virus, antibodies, and they talk about RNA and so forth. And it's a very detailed, in-depth topic. But my understanding is they still haven't found the virus that they're naming. You say, oh, well, this person had, there are even people who are saying, well, I had these symptoms and it sounded like that, therefore I had it. And you go, wait a minute, that's not how this, you're not playing by the rules. If you're going to say you have this virus going on, you need to have the testing, because if not, then you're adding to that fear, you're adding to that stress of people, and people go, oh, I know someone who had it. Well, they might have had a cold or a fever or dealing with it. So yeah, those are, I think,
we're all a little bit concerned with that. I actually went to a conference in Vegas in January, and about February 2nd, I was real sick. But it must have just, I did take the flu test and they said it wasn't flu or strep throat, but it must have just been another strain of the flu. So we're all scared is what it is.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
The bottom line is we need to, our brain is taking care of all of our cells in our body, and it's in fight mode right now, right? Everybody's probably.
Yeah, it's on a heightened alert, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. So we need to try to be calm and happy and positive, and build our immune system up through our subconscious, right?
Yes.
And then we also,
conscious, right? Yeah.
and conscious. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's right. And then we need to take care of our stomach. We need to
Yes.
eat probiotics, right?
Probiotics are a huge part of what we can do, as well as, your vitamin C and your vitamin D. I mean, they're already shown that vitamin C is one of the ways to defeat this illness or virus to keep your body healthy.
I doubt if you could buy any vitamin C right now. So I guess the best source for vitamin C is an orange.
Yeah,
Or,
citrus fruits, your fruits and so forth. So you can find that. You can find some vitamin supplements. The company I work with is all concentrated whole food. So you can get all your nutrients in your fruits and vegetable antioxidants. So you want to look at the different types of antioxidants, because that's what you're looking for in the citrus and the berries. Blueberries are big. These types of fruits and vegetables and so forth are
I'm
important.
just thinking, here's a good question. Does your metabolism have anything to do with your immune system? I mean, I'm sure it does, but I don't know what.
Yeah, it's all connected. You mentioned earlier, and remind me, because I want to go back to what you mentioned when you were in January at this conference. But
Yeah.
And in the book that I co-authored in, and I was fortunate that I have a chapter with 38 other leading practitioners and doctors in the natural health field who specialize in brain function. And I was honored that they invited me to write a chapter. The chapter of my book is The Art of Balance.
Okay.
And so I talk about the different stressors, but the major things, that are the major highways in the body, deal with the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, which is our stress and survival versus our healing.
Mhm.
The other that deals with what's called the HPA axis, which is the hypothalamus and pituitary in the brain, and the adrenals. And the adrenals tie in, the adrenals are adrenaline, right? So they're the stress glands, and they also work with the sympathetic or the stress mode. And they work with the thyroid, they work with the ovaries, the prostate, the testes, the pancreas, the pituitary, pineal. Those are all part of the hormonal or the endocrine system. And so when we have stress, my analogy is like a basketball team. You got 5 players. If one of the players is sick or hurt and can't play up, what do the other 4 have to do? They've got to play harder, right? And then how long can they keep going until another one drops? And that all deals with your adrenal glands, your thyroid, and the rest of your hormones need to be in balance, because that is our metabolism, which is also tied into the third highway, which is the gut-brain connection.
Mhm.
And so the metabolism in our digestive system needs to be functioning efficiently, and because that also affects the brain. The serotonin is the happy neurotransmitter. There's more serotonin produced in the gut than in the brain. And so we want to have our digestive system working. We want to have a balance between our stress and our healing system, our neurotransmitters and our hormones. And all that is the metabolism. And that's the key. And one of the things that I do work with is a technology called Brain Tap, using light and sound, that helps as far as brain fitness, because there's so much stress going on in the world. And this is like meditation on steroids, which is one of the other areas I was going to say, was to take the time for yourself, the quiet time, the meditation time. Meditation, quiet time, breathing, prayer, whatever helps you calm things down. So again, if those are the situations, and that's challenging for a lot of people to do in our world these days, because they've always been on the go. So now all of a sudden they've got to stay at home. And they're like, what do you do? And you go, just sit there, right? I mean, one of the phrases I've heard that, our grandparents were asked to fight in the war, and all we're asked to do to save the world is sit on a couch. So, I mean,
Some people are going crazy. I have a friend that's a doctor up in Chicago, and he put on Facebook a bag of M&Ms, 3 or 4 bags of chips, and a couple sodas, and he's real healthy normally. And he said, I'm going to eat all this crap.
Oh, really?
He doesn't know what to do. He's just home alone. His doctor's practice shut down.
Yeah. Well, and that brings
the dentist.
Yeah, and I mean, some of these, there's stress, there's comfort food, there's different things that people will need to do. And when we have cravings, say a sugar craving or a salt craving, is usually an indication that there's adrenal fatigue and exhaustion. And so, but to be aware of the different foods that we're eating, so that, and what I tell people is an easier way to go through it is to make better bad choices. All right. So do you have a Coke sitting there, or do you have a juice? They both have sugar, but maybe you have water. All right. So what's your better bad choice? Have chips, or do you have this? I mean, even if you're going to have chips, have organic chips, and you want to look out at, canola, or, even if it's genetically or no GMO foods, but be aware of what you're eating and what you're putting in the body, because we are what we eat. I mean, that phrase holds true. So, and not to say that we can't indulge, we can't treat ourselves, we can't do something, but if you find day to day, there's a funny thing, I don't know if you saw it on Facebook, but there was a picture of a lady, and you could just see where she was kind of bending over. You couldn't see the top part, but she was bending over and through the refrigerator. And it says day one of first day of quarantine.
Yeah.
And there's another picture of day 30, and she's put on quite a bit of weight, and bending over. So you don't want that type of situation, because you do have the opportunity to come out of this quarantine healthier. Right? You can.
And ladies and gentlemen that are watching, Dr. Lankering's been a weight loss doctor and specialist for 30-something years or more.
Right.
So we value. Yeah. One of the things you told me years ago that's helped tremendously. So listen up, ladies and gentlemen, because this has helped me a great deal. When I grew up, my folks always told me, when your stomach growls, you're hungry. And boy, it worked like clockwork, right? Then I found out that it actually is the opposite. That when your stomach is growling, it's just because it's digesting your food. That you can hear it because it's digesting. And that helps a lot. So when my stomach growls, I don't run to the refrigerator anymore. So if that could help you not put on a couple pounds, I'd be happy.
Right. And you play those games, right? You play those kind of games with yourself. One of the things that is helpful, especially with periods of stress. And again, if we go to that stress, survival, nervous system, and the healing digest, I think a lot more people are dealing with digestive issues, because when we're in this survival, your body's not saying, oh, well, we're going to hang out and just digest that meal we just had. Your body's going, no, we got to run like crazy to get away from whatever's chasing us.
Oh, it's not working this great. Right.
Right. And so digestive enzymes can be very helpful, along with probiotics, that will help you digest and balance your digestive system.
So what is a digestive enzyme exactly?
Digestive enzymes would be like lipase, protease. These are some of the natural plant-based, bromelain. So they're plant-based enzymes that actually break foods down. And
what is your website, Dr. Lankering, in case somebody wants to go there and snoop through and see what you have? I mean, we're not selling today, but I want them to know where to get a hold of you if they need you. So I want your website and your email, please.
Okay. My website is Lankering, like you have a hankering, but lankeringchiropractic.com. All right. And then my email address is Dr. that's DR, and then adjust like chiropractic, ADJUST, Sopris, SOPRIS.net. So Dr. Adjust at Sopris.net is my email, and lankeringchiropractic.com.
Okay, great. So getting back to the metabolism. So now all those 4 or 5 things are related to your metabolism. So exercise is the fastest thing to speed up your metabolism, or that's what the average person would think.
Sure. And that, again, I think is all balanced. I mean, there's a lot to weightlifting. Now there's high intensity. Now there's some different things, but the basic exercise, just walking. I mean, walking does wonders for you, and you don't need to be going walking miles. You don't need to be training for the Olympics. It's just movement, so instead of sitting on, I don't care if you walk around your home or your apartment, walk around your yard, take a walk around the block, and maybe just take a walk around the block a few times a day.
Okay, so you also talked about the importance of melatonin, because that helps you sleep, and I guess it does other things for your body. I don't know what. Maybe you'll tell us.
Yes.
But here's my question. I was always told never look at your cell phone or computer for a few hours before you go to bed, because it takes the melatonin out of your not serotonin, not melatonin, right? Serotonin.
Okay.
Is that the one for at night? Which one?
Melatonin.
Melatonin.
Melatonin is the hormone.
That it somehow confuses you and takes the melatonin out of your body. Is that true?
Right. The only exception to that is if people are watching this program. No, just kidding.
But does the light mess you up?
The blue light does, because it works as far as throwing, it's like what's called our circadian rhythms. The sun sets at night and wakes and comes up in the morning, and our bodies get triggered to those light patterns. And so we have an inner clock that works with the light. And so a lot of that melatonin is tied into the adrenal glands, where cortisol and so forth should be higher in the day, and that drops off, and the melatonin picks up during the night. And so there's a day and night pattern of those hormones. And when we're in a stress situation, that'll throw that off. So melatonin can be helpful, although my understanding is that you still need to be looking at the adrenals, because if you're just taking melatonin and not looking at the adrenal glands, the adrenal glands are what drive everything, and you have a leaky bucket, so to say, if you're just taking melatonin and not addressing your adrenal glands. So yeah.
How do you clean out your adrenal glands besides, I guess, water?
Well, there are different foods and so forth. I mean, I use a vitamin supplement that has a glandular that will, has B vitamins and so forth. And if people are in adrenal fatigue or exhaustion, it can take 2 or 3 years to rebuild your adrenal glands. And that's providing you're just sitting on the beach, or in this case, maybe sitting at home. But we're not going to. So you need to do, certain nutrition. And again, bringing the body back to balance. Those 3 major highways supporting the adrenal glands. You use the brain tap, because that helps bring the body and support the healing system and so forth. But, I think that good basic nutrition, which would be no sugars, definitely, sugar's the food of the devil. Mm-hmm. It comes in the form of chips and bread and different things like that. Once we get in balance and your digestive system is going, okay, then you can handle some of these things. But, you look at, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Just getting your body in balance by nutrition. So the thing is, you are in Aspen, Colorado. People that watch this are from around the world. Can they email you and you can let them know who to contact in their area that knows about natural nutrition, that can test them to see what they're low on?
Yep.
Because they don't want to just go take a bunch of vitamins, right?
No, and you don't have to do that. But I have ways of helping people and work with it. What I was saying, though, is the different types of food, all right? So, sugar, but you look at some protein, types of meat or chicken or eggs, or what people, their preference is there. You look at more veggies than fruits. And then you look at your good fats, which would be your coconut oil, your olive oil, butter, and so forth. And if you can work with that, that's kind of my recommendation for people to kind of find out what works for them. Some people do eat for your type.
Did you say it was okay to eat butter? Just checking.
Yeah. Wow. I think butter's a very good food.
A good Amish butter.
Yeah. Again, clean. Organic, grass-fed.
Wow.
My understanding is that it's a good fat to have.
I'm going to sleep better tonight.
There you go. Yeah. Right. But again, everything balanced, right? It's you don't want to eat a stick of butter before you go to bed. So.
Okay. Let's get back to, you were going to talk about when I know I was sick at the first week of February, and I did go to the doctor the same day I started getting a sore throat.
Yeah. And maybe you had a little fever or different things like that. But what's interesting is oftentimes in January, early February, people go through this flu cold type of situation. Well, what happened the month before? A lot of times the holiday season, right? So people parties, they got the stress of celebration. They're doing all their foods and their sugars and drinks and so forth. So the month before is a very highly stressful period. And so it's not surprising that in January, is when the flu season hits, because it's a cleansing process. Personally, and I know people think I'm crazy, I hope there's never a cure for the common cold, because to me, the common cold is a cleansing crisis that the body's going, we're coughing, we're sneezing, we're blowing our nose, we got a fever and everything else. But the body's going, look, buddy, you've been going for, full steam ahead. We're going to make you sit down and rest now, which is kind of maybe what we're going through with this, where the earth is going, we're going to let you sit back for a few days while we heal and cleanse here. So
good idea.
Thoughts with that. Yeah.
Well, so let's point on the 3 things you said that you would like everybody to do to help their immune system. So one was your brain, because it's
Your
telling,
mindset.
yeah, it's telling your cells what to do and how to react. So we don't, and your brain is in defense mode, right? So you want to calm your brain down and your body. One.
The words we use and so forth, the thoughts we have. Yes.
And then the third thing would be, I guess the most important thing we talked about for me is getting your body in balance, not just nutrition, but the whole thing about getting it in balance.
Right. Which is where like the brain tap, the meditation, prayer, these different things that will help to just deep breathing, will help to support that healing system, that parasympathetic system in your body.
We don't want to talk about it too much because we're running late, but the brain tap product, I know it's for relaxation and there's all kinds of modules. Do you have, I think you told me you were going to offer a totally free, no credit card, so people can try it in these hard times.
Yes.
If you could allow them to do it for free, I think it may help a lot of people with anxiety, depression, food.
Yes.
If you want to eat too much, I think there's even one for weight loss. So
there's a lot for weight loss for that. So
what would they do?
Send me an email. I put out my email at dradjust@sopris.net. Send me an email. I'll send you an email with a link. We can do a free 15-day trial, and no credit card, no obligation. You'll get bundled full library, but you'll get stress reduction, sleep, wellness, and so forth. And so there's 1,000 programs, different modules. There's brain fitness. There's wake up in the morning. There's PTSD. There's grief. There's stress reduction. There's weight loss. There's pain, brain fitness, autism, children, all kinds of programs to work with.
Dr. ADJUST at SOPRIS?
Yes, dradjust@sopris.net.
Not .net, not .com. Well, unless you have something else that you'd like to talk about, we'll have you back another time.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I think, just the things we will get through this. We will get through this. We're resilient. We do have a lot to be grateful for. And if people have questions, if I can be of any assistance, I'm happy to help out.
Yep. Let's watch positive movies, right? Let's talk positive and more proactive and positive, and just try our darndest to be happy. And we as Americans and other people from around the world, we can whip this thing like you can't believe, right?
Exactly.
You're going to whip it? You're going to whip it too.
We are. Yep. So good.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming, Doc. Thank you, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Great.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We're at the end of another enlightening episode of the World Wellness Show, and we want to be reminded of the incredible insights shared by our esteemed doctor. Their passion for health and wellness have provided us with valuable knowledge to enhance our well-being. We offer educational information and suggest strongly that you seek medical attention through your physician or other medical professional. Until next time, thank you for coming.